This is Hello Africa, the podcast. I'm your host, Kafi Djiba. Join me as we have conversations that connect the African diaspora back to the booming continent of Mother Africa. Today we talk to Daniel Samba, based in the UK. Daniel has a booming real estate business on the Smiling Coast.
Start off with you telling me a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do in the UK.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm Daniel Samba, living in London, born and bred. I'm in the construction industry. I've been doing that for quite a while, so I know quite a lot about, building and things like that.
Right.
So, my father is a Gambian. My mum is from the UK. So I'm doing a lot of work out in the Gambia in terms of building, selling plots of land, and so on. Yeah, so I've had a lot of interest in doing this for a while. So I'm finally getting through to getting things done.
So did you visit the Gambia a lot as a child?
Yeah, well, my first trip was in 1996. First time I went was with my dad. He also didn't go for like 30 years, so it was quite a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, since he went back.
Okay.
So I remember as a child, keep hassling in him, go back, go and see the rest of the family. He had a good connection with his family. His father used to come over to us, and some of his brothers used to come and visit us. He's had a good Gambian connection around us. Still got, a lot of family in the UK from the Gambia as well. Been going there since '96 really. And I think, when I went over there in '96, I was young. I kind of fell in love with the place. It just brought me a lot into my culture and so on. My dad had some dreams to kind of build out there and do quite a lot of stuff out there. Unfortunately, a few years after he did go, he passed away. So I'm trying to follow up his dreams also, as well as mine. So, probably now I've been going like every few years anyway, since '96. And, I've got a Gambian wife, by the way. I'm married to a Gambian. Right. So I've always wanted to build. So probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I bought a plot in the Gambia. And then I started building on it probably about 6 months ago. So it was just sitting there for a while. Started building. And then I see, when I started building, I found that there was a lot of interest coming over from the black UK and black Americans started to show a lot of interest. Got loads of different YouTube channels coming up in the Gambia, showing what they're doing out there, repatriation. So I thought, right, okay, let me do a bit of filming on my property, show people what I'm doing, give them an insight of, how things can be done over there. I started to get quite a lot of inquiries in terms of building out there. And I thought, okay, let me just start this YouTube channel. And we started, I started to get a lot of inquiries and things like that, And then obviously I met now my business partner, Abdullah. You spoke to him a few times. And then we decided, let's do a little business in the Gambia, help those that want to come over and settle, find some land, build, and so on. So basically my channel was like a step-by-step in terms of how to build, you know, how to go about things, materials and things like that. So, yeah, it's just giving people an insight on, you know, giving people a heads up in terms of what to do. You know, I guess, you know, a lot of people are fed up of the Western world now. They're tired of, like, you know, there's a lot of prejudice, racism going on. You know, black people are fed up. So a lot of people want to go back to the motherland now, you know. You know, most people that go over there and visit, they just love it. You know, so
right.
People are really nice. Yeah.
So it sounds like your business, when you went for personal reasons to build your house, to sort of finish your dad's legacy, to put roots down in Gambia, and then you realized that something special was happening there, and that a lot of people were interested in what you were doing, and that you could contribute to people either repatriating totally or doing business, visiting more, or even having a second home in the Gambia. So your YouTube channel is Investments in Gambia, is that correct?
Investment. Yep.
Investment in the Gambia. And that's how I found you, was through your YouTube channel. My family roots are in America. I'm originally from South Central Los Angeles, and now I live outside of Washington, D.C. But Africa is a place that I visit a lot. And I have family in Senegal and some in Gambia through marriage. And so it was something that I was wanting to do. And I know that a lot of people could be afraid if they've either never been there, or a lot of people are afraid that they'll buy land that belongs to someone else. And the whole process is very foreign to us. So I contacted you. And I bought a nice plot of land near the sea through you and Abdullah. And I have to say that the process, although it was nerve-wracking to me only because I had my own fears about the process, was very different than what we do in the United States, right? How you buy land there. Here you would have a bill of sale, there'd be a contract, there'd be all, you know, somebody representing you. And this is really like grassroots buying of land. So you have to get comfortable with understanding that the transaction is going to be different. So I did that transaction for you, and it went pretty seamless. I mean, you know, there are things that you're still working out in the process, like transferring money. I know that there are different limits depending on where you transfer, sort of the fees and all that go around with that. But other than that, which is, you know, standard operating procedures, it was pretty seamless, great contact. I could ask you a question at any time. You made yourself available. And when I got nervous, you would answer my questions and say, I got you, sis, don't worry. And so I purchased my land. And I know that there are a lot of people, especially in America, who want to have another either place to visit or to move totally because of the things that are happening here. And, you know, with COVID-19 and how it's devastating the Black community, and the constant deaths of young Black men and women by the hands of the police, a lot of people are saying now is the time. But they still have to get over the fear of what they've heard about doing business in Africa and how people are dishonest and all of these things. And no matter how conscious you are, I think those questions do pop up. And you and Abdullah did make yourself available to me when I had those questions, or, you know, when that money left my hand. It was like, okay.
You was worried, but like that's quite normal.
It just got real.
Yes, no. This is where we come in, you know. We just try and make things an easy process, and you know, like you said, you know, Africa has got some bad press through, like, you know, people selling other people's land and all these kind of things. This is where, you know, me and Abdullah sort of come in. You know, we try and reassure you. We make sure we're selling any form of land. We do our checks through the Alcalo. Can you
tell people what an Alcalo is?
Okay, an Alcalo is basically the chief of the village, the town, wherever you're buying. He's like the head of the town. So if there's a plot being sold in that area, so each area in the Gambia has an alcalo, no matter where. So like whether it's Sanyang, Tujareng, all these different parts of the Gambia, every district has a alcalo. So basically, once you purchase a land, the alcalo has to approve this land. So basically, he does his checks to make sure the land is clean, and whoever's transferring papers from one person to the other, he just checks that that is the person who actually owns that plot of land. So then that's why you go to the alcalo. After the alcalo, then you start going to the area council, which is like a government body. They would also do their checks and so on. You know, the alcalo does stamp and sign documents. Rikama area council would also sign and approve your documents, and that's when your deeds come in and things like that. You know, we try and turn brand, you know, within 3 to 6 weeks. You know, so that's what we do. So that's why we just make sure that, you know, we've, you know, checked everything kind of thoroughly before we kind of start, you know, selling blocks and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a new term for me in the process of alcalo.
Yep.
And so I would say for my American listeners, it is probably the equivalent of going into escrow and the escrow agent checking to make sure that your title and deed is clean, that there are no taxes on it, that the person who's selling it belongs to. They do all of the due diligence to make sure that that transaction can happen. The alcalo is probably comparable to that process. And so he would be the first person to make sure that that land is clear and can be sold, and the transfer of the property goes from the seller to you. So for people that need a point of reference, because that was new for me, it is like going into escrow on your paperwork.
Also, there's another department, physical planning, that get involved as well. So like in terms of what you was talking about taxes, they make sure taxes have been paid on that property, which the seller will have paid the tax. You kind of pay a small fee each year. It's not much. It's probably, I don't know, $20, $30 or something like that a year, something like that. It's not much. Probably even less.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the alcalo is the first step in entering the escrow process, and then you have to have taxes and a land survey to make sure that the borders, right?
A sketch plan,
Right, a sketch plan, so that you understand, you know, where your area ends, your property ends, and we do something similar here. It typically transfers with the property when you buy it, so you don't have to get it every time. But in Gambia, every time you purchase land, you have to get a new one under the person's name who's buying it. So that's a little bit different too. So all of these little things, when you can compare to things that we're comfortable with, it does make the process more understandable. I think initially you have to get over the idea that you're buying property in a foreign country, right?
No, of course, yes.
Yeah.
You have to pass that kind of fear factor first, and you know, and then.
I would advise anyone to do their due diligence, right, and ask about what the fees are in the process. And someone who is really invested in working with you and selling you land will answer that question as many times as you ask it. And they understand that you are a person from a different country who is purchasing in a place that maybe you're not familiar with, or perhaps this is your first time buying and you need a little bit of hand holding. So I would really encourage anybody that you buy land from to feel comfortable with that person, because you are making a transaction, and for many people this is a lot of money and they are banking their future on a successful transaction.
Exactly.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, go on. Sorry, did you want to finish
No,
off?
I was just gonna ask you. So you said that you were building a house,
Yeah,
and I know just through the conversations that I've seen back and forth from the people that are in your group, a lot of people want to know what the process is, how much it's going to cost, how much concrete and sand,
yeah,
and there's not one defined answer for that. But do you want to talk a little bit about after you buy your plot of land? You know,
So
how much, depending on size and bedrooms and floors, all of that goes into the price, but
yeah,
probably a bare minimum price you could get a single family, maybe 3 bedroom, 1 floor house, minimum.
yeah,
With $20,000, could you build a house in the Gambia, do you think?
you could,
Right.
yes, you can definitely build a house. Maybe a two bedroom, possibly three bungalow. Obviously, depending on like the what would I say, the sort of the design of the house, sort of materials you're going to be using, also that all goes into the pricing as well. Because
Right.
like even like when it comes to the stones that you would use out there, you've got like when they're mixing the concrete, they've got black stone. They call basalt stone. I don't know what they call it in the States. In the UK, we call it basalt stone. It's a black stone. It's a strong stone. It's quite expensive. It's probably, I don't know, in pounds, it's about £1,000 for a truckful. So that's probably, I don't know, that's probably about 1,200, 1,300 US, I'd imagine.
Right.
But there you're guaranteed quality of the mortar, what you're actually using. So it all depends what the materials also, what you're using on site as well. But 20,000 US dollars, you can build, I'll say, a basic home.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you can start off with that definitely.
Right.
But once you bought the land, I think the first step is to secure the land. Is to fence it. Even if you go like a few blocks up around the perimeter, at least it's kind of secured. Someone knows, right? Okay, somebody owns that land. Rather than buying the land and just leaving it there for years, I always advise, and it's always advisable, to fence your land as soon as you can, basically. So that's what I did when I bought my property. And I got all my papers. Once I got all my papers, that was it. I just started on the process of fencing it, putting a gate up, and that kind of secured my land. I mean, once you've done that, the land is pretty secure. Then you've got a gate up, and then there's not really no mad rush after that. You can, build gradually.
Right.
It's not like a thing where you have to build straight away, or you've got a time limit or anything like that. Restrictions. Once you fenced it off, it's yours. Some people fence it off and they just leave it for a little while, save some money, and then what I find is a lot easier is just do things in stages. If your finances can't stretch too far, we always advise maybe you make maybe 3,000 blocks, store them, and keep adding. I mean, you could probably spend, I don't know, on blocks. You could probably, even if you had like 1,500 US dollars, that could get you quite a few blocks made. And then you just store them until you get maybe say 10,000 blocks, and then you can make a start on the actual build, starting the foundation. So it can be done in stages. I mean, when I first bought my plot of land, I thought, wow, it's a big commitment. I've never built my own home. I've owned a home in the West and had a mortgage like we normally do, most people, but actually building my own house, no. So it was kind of new to me as well. So, it can be daunting sometimes, and you think, wow, where am I going to, how long is it going to take? People's asking me, how long is it going to take to build this house? And so, but, I think, just take your time, just plan things well. And I think if you've got the right people behind you, you know, that's half the battle. Finding good, reliable contractors is not always an easy task, but the team I'm working with, you know, they're really good guys. Those that are building my house, we've got other contractors that we use. So yeah, and like, you know, it's always advisable to have someone overlook work if you're not there. And also,
that was my other question.
Yeah, and you know, it's advisable to go over there as well, time to time, even if you went over there for a week just to check on things. Like the important stages of building, most important is the foundation. Because foundation is everything, really. I mean, if you ain't got a good foundation, then you ain't really got a good house.
Right.
So you got to make sure that foundation is really strong. And, you know, I'm building a 2-story house, so I need to make sure that that foundation is
really good.
Is going to be strong enough to hold a 2-story building, basically. So I went over at that stage for the foundation, and then I left someone to project manage the rest of the build.
Okay.
And then I'll be going over there in stages. So it's always able to go over in stages.
Right. So the next big question that people on the West always have is sea view or seafront property. And so the Gambia is a little bit different in the way that they control beach access or property that is right on the ocean. In French, they say, you know, feet in the water, right? That type of property.
Yeah.
And so if someone is interested in buying property that is beachfront, is that a possibility? And if not, then what should they do?
Right. Okay. So beachfront properties in the Gambia, you've got like the TDA. So like that's the tourist board. The government own that area of land within the Gambia. So you can't build anything within the TDA. So I believe that it's 800 meters from the coastline going in, and that's your border of the TDA. The only thing you can do on TDA, if you're doing a business to do with tourism, then you can buy land within the TDA. But for residential purposes, no. Unless you had like some that built there many years ago before this TDA started, then obviously, you know,
you're kind of grandfathered in.
You're granted, yeah. So yeah, but since that new law's come in, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know.
So if someone is interested in opening a business, right?
Yeah.
Can they buy land for you, and it be TDA, or are there special people that you have? So they can.
They can, yes, yeah. So we can do special searches on that. Those that coming through, getting TDA properties is not as easy as, it's not very easy. You don't come by every day sort of thing.
Okay.
But it is something, you know, we can do sort of thing. I mean, even where you bought your place, you're literally on the border of the TDA. So,
correct.
Yeah. And those people we was dealing with actually own part of the TDA as well. So, yeah.
Right.
You can. Some people
so guys, what that means is, and when he says I'm on the border, so from the property that I bought, I can hear the ocean, I can see the ocean. I'm probably maybe 2 houses back from beachfront property, and I'm on the line of the TDA, right? So you can buy property that's a little bit set back from the beach, not much, but getting beachfront property, first row property, you can't do unless you are a business entity. There's no one in front of me, so I do. You know, I have, you know, what we would consider beach. I'm close to the beach. I'm very close to the beach.
Yeah. Where you are, you've got a story building. You know, you're gonna have you can wake up to a nice view of the beach.
Right. And story building means two 2 levels.
Yeah,
or,
2 levels.
or more, because I had to learn it to what is a story building.
Yeah,
so it just means it's multi-level, right?
Level, correct. Yes.
Right. And I couldn't buy anything in the States this close to the water. I'm just going to say that right now. It'd be multi-million-dollar property. Like I said, I'm from Southern California. That's Malibu. That's all of those places, and I don't have Malibu money. So
a celebrity or something.
Right. Right. I'm not the Kardashians, right? So, but this is equivalent to that type of property. And so for those who are thinking about coming back to Africa, for the Blacks in the UK and the African Americans in the US, and even those in the diaspora that are in other parts of the Western world, what would you tell them about coming back or coming home to sort of bridge that gap for them? I think a lot of people right now are very curious. People have lots of questions. There's some hesitation. There's deprogramming, just like what we talked about in the beginning, about how people feel like if I do business in Africa, it's going to be corrupt. We also have ideas of, being an African, going to Africa, and the level of lifestyle that we'll have, right? And so what will you tell people that are thinking about coming back to Africa, moving to Africa, doing business in Africa? What would you tell them about going to the Gambia?
Okay, all right. Going to the Gambia, doing business. My advice, if you're on the ground and actually living there, is that what you're trying to say? Yeah. If you're actually living there,
got the plane, got the kids, and you're gone.
Sky's the limit. I mean, there's so many, successful stories out in the Gambia, diasporans that went back to the Gambia, and business is booming out there. Whether you open a restaurant, club, you got a lot of Gambians themselves that was living in the West in America, and a lot of them didn't want to come back for a while to do business. I don't know if you've heard about the previous president, Yahya Jammeh. He was doing a lot of taking people's businesses and just taking things basically what he wants. So there was a lot of dictatorship going on at that time, that regime. But now, since the new government's come in, everyone's just flying out there. There's just so many different businesses going on. In terms of corruption, I think if you're on the ground, you're kind of on top of things, really. It's just kind of whatever business you're getting yourself into, you should obviously do your research and kind of. But yeah, no, you can meet some good, genuine business people. But like anywhere in the world, sometimes finding honest people is not easy. But there is some real successful businesses in the Gambia, a lot. So I wouldn't shy away from it. If I was living there, no, definitely I'll be doing lots of different kind of businesses because it works. And you could live a better lifestyle than you do in the West.
Way more affordable.
It's more affordable. I mean, just example, you bought your plot just right by the beach. I mean, we can't do that in the West. We can't afford it. So, you can live really good, have a nice car, have a nice home, run a good business, and live a pretty good lifestyle. Really, you got the sunshine, you got it's and you're working with your people as well. You can I think it's not only about us going over there and investing. I think it's also helping the community, building Africa as well, and showing the locals certain things. We can bring different kind of skills out there, and we can encourage a lot of things to do out there. There is a lot of good people out there. Sometimes they just need that bit of guidance, but there's a lot of opportunities out there. Definitely, I would definitely advise anyone if they're thinking of doing any business out there, and that's if they're on the ground, then they should go for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say to my Black Americans specifically, I would say that, no matter what you do in this country, whether you are an executive for a Fortune 500 company or you work at a fast food restaurant, there's something that you have in your skill set that you could apply in the Gambia and succeed. If you are a McDonald's worker, you have learned about food automation and customer service. Take that skill set to Gambia and flourish. And it's a two-way street because it's not only about what we can offer or give to help build Gambia, but it's also about what they can offer and give us. And that is peace of mind, community, belonging, lack of violence because of skin color and prejudice and race. And so it is going to be a really big give and take. It's going to be a give and take, a relationship. And so if it's not the Gambia, if it's Senegal, Ghana, I know that the people back here are eyeing West Africa specifically, but even South Africa, I'd say, you really have nothing to lose. You can always come back if you don't like it.
Exactly.
But if you don't try, you'll never know. You'll never know. And you don't have to build a house. So we're talking about building a house because it's extremely affordable and you can get really good land where it's agriculture, you can grow your own food, you can, clean air for your children. But, if you can't buy right now, you can rent homes for $300 to $500 a month. And we're talking 5, 6, 7-bedroom homes, what we would consider mansions here for, an affordable amount, and then build. So there's so many ways to get there. There's so many avenues.
Yeah, you just go out there and test the waters, like you said. Don't have to buy straight away. Go out there, test the waters, see what it's all about. Spend a few months out there, and kind of you get the feel of the place. Then, like you said, if it's for you, it's for you. If not, then you can always go back. There's, like you said, it's open to everyone. Like there's I know Gambians here that's had like doing 3 jobs in a day, like, and then when I went to see them in Gambia and I went to their house, I was like, wow.
Right.
Wow. You're living large.
Yeah, as we say in America, you living high on the hog.
So like, don't knock it. Don't knock it. Like you could be working in McDonald's, but like that same person when he's back home or she's back home,
exactly.
They're doing different things. I think they've got a mission in their head, and they think, right, okay, I have to do this for a few years, and I'll go back and I'll set up this business. And now a lot of them are flourishing. Some of them went to the West to study, to learn law and all kind of different kind of things, finance. They've gone back to Gambia now. They've opened up their own law companies, firms, and they're flourishing. They're doing really, really good. They're driving big cars, living good lives.
Yeah. We're in the rat race. We're tired at the end of the day. The mortgage takes all our money. Yeah, it's a different quality of life, and it's accessible to us. So I would encourage anybody who's thinking about it to really, really look into it, do your homework, ask your questions. Part of the reason why I'm starting this podcast is because I know that a lot of people are interested. A lot of people are curious, and there needs to be a bridge to Africa for them. They need to hear why other people want to repatriate. They want to know why people want to start businesses in the Gambia, the success stories. Those are all really important. We don't get that information on the news. And so I think if more people are aware of the movement and more people are aware of the opportunity, more people are going to consider it and get on that plane. And so it's giving a voice to those who are ready. And a lot of us are just tired. 400 years of this, we are over it. And we're looking. And so hopefully, the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing will make it a lot smoother for them and will welcome them back to Africa, wherever they may land. There's opportunities everywhere. So I would encourage my African Americans in the U.S. and people from the diaspora that are around the world, if you have the calling, if you even